the book of Daniel chapter 2. Okay, this is the famous Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And what did he dream about? Okay, chapter 2 verse 1 says, in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, that would be 604 BC, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, whereas his spirit was troubled and sleep break him. So he was scared. It was a horrible dream. It was like a nightmare. So he called together all his people, his astrologers, magicians, and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, to ask for an interpretation. Okay, and if they can't interpret it, he will chop them up and cause their houses to be made dunghill. So here in Babylon, the people live in fear. If you're on the good side of the king, you live in ease, with incredible ease. But if you're not, you live in terror because the king's moods, one day, and they can do serious harm to you. So, okay, so he calls them together and they said, oh yeah, oh king, live forever. The pandering goes on in these kind of despotic kingdoms. So what is your dream? Tell us that we may interpret, we may consult our stacks and stacks of dream interpretations and tell you what it means. And Nebuchadnezzar said, well, I can't remember, but I want you to tell me what my dream is and interpret it. It's like, huh? How are you going to do that? So you can't. See, in the pagan world, you can't do that. The pagan world, which Babylonian Empire was, is short of ideas, has no ideas. So what are you going to do? They're slated to be. And here, verse 14, Daniel consulted Arioch, the king's executioner. He was ready getting his, how do they execute them? It says a sharp sword, sharpening his sword, because he needs to chop them up. So we are not told, this chapter is packed with information, but we're not told, okay, it would get to Daniel and his friends, and Daniel consulted Arioch. So here, an encounter between Arioch and Daniel. And Daniel said, give me a little time. I can do this. I can show the king what his dream was and then interpret it. Okay, you have a little time. So Daniel went back to his three friends. Verse 17. Then Daniel went to his house and made known the matter to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions. And he said, let's pray. They had a prayer meeting. Verse 18. That they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret, then Daniel and his friends should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. They too would be made chopped meat. So even as they were praying and going to bed that night, the secret, verse 19, then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. And Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Verse 20 to 23 is Daniel's praise of God. It is only God who reveals secrets. And in the pagan world, outside of God, there's no such thing. So here Daniel answered and said, blessed be the name of God forever and ever. For his wisdom and might are his, and he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou God of my fathers, who has given me wisdom and might, and has made known unto me now what we desire of thee. For thou hast now made known unto us the king's matter. So he praised God, the God of heaven, the true God, for revealing the dream and the secret of the dream. So here Daniel went back to Arioch, the chief executioner, and said, I know, I can bring me to the king. Verse 25, Arioch brought Daniel before the king in haste and said, here, in haste, because there's a schedule for them all to be chopped meat. I have found a man of the captives of Judah that will make known unto the king the interpretation. Wow, yeah. Okay, the king said, have at it. And Daniel comes before King Nebuchadnezzar and said, verse 27, the secret which the king hath demanded cannot the wise men, the astrologers, the magicians and soothsayers show unto the king. They cannot. Say, but there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets, and maketh known to King Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. So here it is. Verse 30, but as for me, this secret is not revealed to me. It's not my wisdom or anything that I've done, but rather from the God of heaven whom I serve. So here, O king, you saw a huge image. So verse 31 to 34 is the dream. Okay, O king, you saw a huge image. This image is excellent. It's such huge and fearsome is the word. See, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. It's fearsome. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast, his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part iron and part clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and breaketh them in pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, the gold, broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the earth. So this is definitely prophecies. For sure, that there is no doubt of the prophecy. It's not written at a later time to address a different situation. So what does that mean? Okay, I know your dream, but what does that mean? What it means is, O King Nebuchadnezzar, verse 37, thou, O King, art the King of kings, for the God of heaven has given thee a kingdom, power, and strength and glory. See, and we fail to understand that Psalm 24, I think, says, this earth is the Lord's, and everything thereof, and the fullness thereof, the world and all who dwell in it. This earth is the Lord's. Sometimes we have claim to the land thinking that it is ours forever. No, kingdoms, this is so apparent here. Kingdoms come, kingdoms go. Everything on earth is transitory. And Daniel definitely told Nebuchadnezzar, it is by king of my God, the God of heaven, that you have this kingdom. And you are the head, you are the goal, powerful, mighty. There's no doubt about that. And strength. 39, and after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and the third kingdom of brass, which shall rule over all the earth, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and so on. And finally, the feet of both iron and clay. It is iron and clay does not mix. So there's strength there, there's sweetness there. So that's what it is. After you, there'll be subsequent kingdoms that will be less as glorious, less powerful. But that's not Nebuchadnezzar's concern. It's like, oh, I'm the head, I'm the goal. Heck, as long as I stay that way till I die, what happens afterwards is of no consequence to me. But But it is of consequence to us because we do see. So in spite of the fact that it does not tell us who the subsequent kingdoms were, but they were inferior to the head, the goal. Yeah, we know from history, after him was the Persians, then the Greeks, then the Romans, and then finally, here is this, the most significant part, a rock, not carved by hands, was thrown at this image at the feet, which is the weakest point, and the whole thing broke apart and disintegrated like chaff, in the summer threshing floor. It says, listen to that description. You thresh, you throw the wheat, and the chaff that's light, that has no grain, just floats away and leaves and disappear. And that's how it was. So most important was that rock. And then that rock, after destroying this image, became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. What does that remind us of? It's an important thing. And verse 44, and in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. What does that remind us of? And here, in the next few chapters, Daniel does not really reveal to us the subsequent, but we know from history the subsequent kingdoms where they are, because for the time being, it's more concerned with Nebuchadnezzar, his situation. The next chapter 2, 3, and 4 will speak of Daniel's interaction with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar would consult Daniel from this time on, and Daniel, for some reason, has grown fond of this tyrant, because in subsequent dreams and visions that he had to serve the king by interpreting, he was very troubled also as to what happens to this king, which he's gone fond of. And with each subsequent chapter, with the help of Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar will declare, your God, O Daniel, verse 47, is the God of gods and Lord of kings and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou couldst reveal this secret. So each time he says, your God is the true God. But did Nebuchadnezzar really change his heart? No, it's one thing to confess in our minds and know that this God is real. It's another thing to change our hearts so that we feel after him and follow and become obedient, which did not happen with Nebuchadnezzar. 49, then Daniel requested of the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king. So they were promoted. They had gifts and stuff like that. And not only that, the God of heaven saved the lives of the administration of Nebuchadnezzar, all the astrologers, the soothsayers, the Chaldeans, whoever they are, their lives are spared too. And that is our God. Understand this. Let this be of comfort that, tyrants come and go, kingdoms come and go, no matter how powerful they are. It is the God of heaven, the God of Daniel, that holds everything in his hand, all our destiny.